Hello, species variance system. Hello, Weathersfield, Connecticut. My name is Anthony Wall, and what you have all experienced online, there's a lot of online platforms pretending to be me with interbranch policing of this, foreign and domestic military. They also pretended I had conversations with people about this and they have conspiracy theories, Russians and Americans, which is also and this is in relationship to acts interbranch with databases and intercampuses. Excuse me. I was eating ice. I was gonna do a different nature video, but I want to explain something. When I use names in any of the videos, that's recorded because it was brought up by interbranch online recorded sequence shifts, identity theft, crime acts, and natures of crimes with that. Also, in a method recorded juxtaposing the names of strangers needing to pretend other. Noticing that I know who that is. They don't know me. The news admits to pretending because people were arrested a number of times. It shows what it doesn't. While they are criminally knowing they stole my identity, fake both sides of conversation. WFSB. If you look up my name online, proven, recorded, they have child offenders, and there are more recorded and confessed before that. They didn't even let me get to the whole thing because the way they've been using the right to lie, quote unquote, to criminally lie originally and still, not just here, and they're not just alone. And the other nations demonstrated, recorded, and confessed this themselves. These are modern nations ill, individually grouped and together as criminal insidious nature that you cannot legalize all victim predators. They did not. This organized crime method knew. This is why they put color in there as color. What motivated that was the minority that criminally forward influenced the internation scientists. Well, it kept it going for itself, a minority. But that's as minority. They put that word in there too, knowing that they're a minority. They put in going after to instituting physical torture because they were already using torture since founding with psychology interbranch. Already stayed life progressions, their acceptations of everyone's value. Everyone's a victim, predator, distinctly and non-distinctly, as a child abused, simultaneously each age of the fact-sheeping nature. Their family, they exploit you if you have no family. They exploit you, and this is all exceptions. This is completely fact-sheeping nature. Before, and then it sustained itself, everyone juxtaposed through other motivations, roles, needs, interests, and theater scenes. Know how a scene is with acting. Know how, like a crime scene. Note the predicate act associated with, a high crime associated with criminal enterprise. Not a lawyer, not police form, not criminal. There was a mayor when I was a kid, and they had the intercampus systems when I was a kid, and now recorded through time involved with an identity theft crime method that is insidious. It's on off campuses maintained, already having been maintained from off the ground of education, knowing it was going to stay in layers from off campuses, maintained within as a method using criminal insidious nature that never could be legalized. In relationship to why and how, I'm saying that per science, each of the branches individually, grouped, sex, and together, time-wise and sequence treatment-wise, recorded how child abuse brought to the defenses against juxtaposed impositions of fake care and all other, misappropriations of justice that are evil, aggression. and with and as a nature of evil, calm speech, treatments of time, always too fast, too slow, worse than to the obfuscation of forever nature's course. I speak of source, no joke. It only feels like games because it gains. Who trains is hurt. Who trains correct. Because this is having been and stayed in the anticipation of what knew it was going to keep and already kept self-value reactions to how all the identities of the ground are appreciating having had the identity everyone is states and areas. The states branches are from this town. Intercities maintain interstates, worse than interstates originally still, states and areas of modern nations, individually grouped and together maintained, currently foreign influence, each age of fact, cheaping nature, value hurt, worse than obfuscated, value of as nature, and as our history's actual course, which is in relationship to an organized crime method and to the fact cheaping nature slavery of the founders of each modern nation, distinctly and non-distinctly, but recorded. There was use of this is beyond before and beyond money because those forward positions, kings, leaders, pharaohs, messengers of modern religions. This is a how they had the capacity to do that is because nature itself revealed the perfect education before. In other words, this species together revealed that all the different sounds have an identity relationship to itself, which is the value of correlation, which is in demonstration of differences in different is value only positive or negative to see what the difference is that is perfect value progression as in how we are in nature of volume gaining. And this is important because this is value before, while, as, and beyond. The value of the ground, the value of each position, each age of fact should be nature as a correlation, is a progression. Nature as a nature of volume that is maintained again. Each modern nation from needing to describe criminal foreign influences in and as and where and how this knew that no one would be able to do that without blaming it on other nations and ourselves. And where and as and how they're right about that, they're wrong because we have the same thing that's negotiated with a pseudo positive as criminal insidiousness nature that you can't defend that and afford the quality of free speech that is truth that is also not exploiting and making lying about exception nature as truth, which is a different nature of truth, which is the value of physical differences. To see what gains as our nature of volume that it gains here, only when it's gaining the nature of our nature that is distinct from complete nature, that's gains its nature as more of its volume that is also positive onto itself. When it's not, it forces it from here because its greater nature controls ours. Each complete identity is simultaneously an unceasing semi-nature relationship to this value as value and to it as the value of that beyond our control. No matter who you are, the identity of positive is demonstrating we need water because not just do we need it, it's in demonstration with and as, for example, this exception nature, which is the invisible but discernible identity the sciences work in relationship to or not. that inventions work or not in relationship to. So it's still discernible that their inventions are further positive or not in relationship to further. So it's still discernible. So there is a former mayor, um, Gold, who has been involved with, these people are speaking through others. So they're forging names, switching names, sequence shifts of all nature's roles, and with how the courts are preventing mandated law to counter, like this Gold family associated with this Aiello family, who I only know that confessing and assaulting me with this. No, in other words, sequence shifting roles too, name switching, online interbranch crime roles with child offenders further recorded with the schools. But then if you call up and report the things that are recorded true always and start with that first, people pretend sensibilities. They're lying about by lying about ours and being influenced to it. In other words, and because the police already have been lying about the actual recorded value of communications with them over the phone and other ways. In other words, them involved with the persuasions of little kids and uses of drugs, natures of drug crimes and drug crimes roles, natures of gun crime roles, of violence crime roles, knife crime roles, using this for fact achievement nature racket roles and methods that are bonded, that are roles and natures bonded as sensibilities natures. No, with sense and sensibilities, because we're going to deal with stuff such values individually and together grouped like that, sense and sensibilities. In other words, sense and sensibilities together and grouped. And in relationship to the value of this trinity with it, correlation nature, each age of fact achieving nature is in a trap simultaneously, and it has a fact achieving nature record that has there and here fake sides, suit and ties, counters to the maintenance of convictions forced only let realized because every individual, group, dash, sex, and the entire species, each position of the human fact achieving nature is simultaneously, distinctly, and non distinctly has leveraged upon it what was maintained self value, having been valued, that organized crime method roles, valuing it, that too, and as the fact achieving nature slavery of our founders and of the value of slavery of the actual free speech of and the actual voice of and nature of and value of our American history of each science. Science is shared. This identity. This is why, not a doctor. This is why the predicate act. I'm not a lawyer. This is why the predicate act is either. This is why the predicate act of the law associated with organized crimes. This is a demonstration of how that we are three bonded semi-natures of volume. And we'll deal with this in the course about value relationships. It was where there are two variables, there is the nature between it. There is this third nature bond. And what's bonding it is discernibly a complete nature that is also two semi-natures and those three distinctly and non-distinctly as five invisible but still discernible semi-natures of an inseparable nature of volume as identity nature. And it wants it wants the value of all the different gods and languages in relationship to God is a concept, is an algebraic variable of the extent what we think is true always, but we're not sure. And then there's the identity being, when there's an identity being shown, which is distinct from Jesus Christ, no, because Jesus Christ is about the Trinity, about temporary slash lasting positive value as an identity nature. And this is the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost as a nature of volume, as forever nature. But this is not as a ghost, this is as fact treatment nature's value. This is important to do this in sequence about, because offensively we have the sciences in collusion as sensibilities natures being used by what was is not only from off the ground of education and then from off campuses on and off it's sustained with already having been valued reactions to what in other words sickly does this through generations to hide how to keep how non-distinctly from sickly from being discerned. Also, this entered types of cities like suburbs and over urban cities. These this is a fact treatment nature racket roll that was not just the end of the whip. It was not just that torture and money and those interests and motivations were all fact treatment nature slave roles. Even our founders didn't have free speech. That's why even with the French generals' help, George Washington could only semi-counter extort and had to hide the founders' complete roles, actual roles, with the Declaration of Independence, with the plan to try to preserve the value of this ancient republic for which we stand. And there are proofs that just the same reason that they need habeas corpus, Latin laws juxtaposed with the value of laws written in English, is tied to proofs that we need not to take away from, to make more value each person Arabic laws. See, but they're making Arabic not understood the same way they're making the Old Testament not understood, but they're talking about sciences. So they're keeping it as criminal as modern roles with modern nations juxtaposed with private left overt criminal enterprises and then overt criminal enterprises that are not private. All militaries juxtaposed this way using the identity of the ground, using the identity of the value of correlation nature and of the means to it with the three our natures simultaneously inherent, active, and progressive means before, while being and beyond this value, gaining. So people's sensibilities are being kept for what is using extortion methods, torture methods, identity theft racket methods, and free speech thefts rackets. All and there it's with all natures of uncharged things. Not by accident. Each modern nation was built to only be able um, to value nature's already having blamed and preventing from being spoken, that how there is criminal foreign influences involved. Yeah. I'm not saying it's sourced by any one modern nation. I'm saying this is designed to keep each nation overall incapable of countering how each modern nation states and areas were maintaining inclusion this way, using the identity of the nation overall, what type of leader would be, what type of group leadership would be. that identity is contained in an identity of actual value discernment nature, value progression system, perfect, bracket slash S, ulterior from that, markets positions not by accident. Again, everyone blaming other things, others, themselves, and valuing having been valued, the blame on others. And that is not watching what's building, even down to the prisons, down to the finite uses of space, uses of fact, human nature in relationship to the variables of all things, boxings, in relationship. For example, they're recorded having been using what's his name, Bill Cosby, and victims of worse than the parts I've heard described type crimes per the interbranch roles with it, and per women roles interbranch with the men too, and with medical. And these are just people writing other fake things in database, having that, valuing that having been facilitated in conjunction with with what I was talking about, which was from this is to the maintenance of valued, what they call legalized criminal insidiousness nature, that never had the right to be legalized. And this is each nature of sequence nature means to revelations into this, into understanding this, is set up, exploited, maintain self-value that from and through what keeps the branches our only natures of sophistication, only realized understanding through what they only understand through life progressions and through what they can't fathom, because the same criminal foreign influences over the branches and, and their roles that they realize with the overt criminal enterprises and military shared policing on off campuses sustain mixed trained, like with criminal justice rackets, professions, all victim predators in evaluate systems that need to eat in relation, they need the problems that could be instantly realized into better than we have now, as the nature of new industry too, that's forcing that realized everywhere now. Standards in every modern nation realized, forsaken slash below bottom, the bottom. That's bottom. That's where we are. But it's also forsaken, which is below bottom, in relationship to what is vertically and horizontally juxtaposed fake care and fake passions of justice, fake sensibilities and fake calm, fake righteous calm. This is rolls with natures of gun crimes, missed not by accident by everyone. This is to explain and understand this is the requirements of a quality of fact treatment nature, that sequencing shift distinctly and non-distinctly, self-valuing that fake sides, are so valuing that short of um, that integrity, while everyone's pretending to be about science, truth. So everyone not by accident is valuing with their fact-treating natures. That we don't have time. Not by accident, knaves. Many graves, the corpse of slaves, yet each. The truth is native, pure, alone. I just want to teach. So that's why when they have the mayor's things, they go to Washington. They're associated with natures of jobs, industries, all Oz, when you see the streams of crazy things happening in the news, this is juxtaposed with fake news stories and things like that that they're using criminal statutes pretending they have the right to do, but they're needing to sequence shift and steal people's identities and not having let them have free speech before that because that's all the recorded proofs that they don't have the right to do that. And that's tied to how this was not legalized, the criminal insidiousness nature that the branches of modern nations are, each one. Not by accident, them needing to blame and having blamed, having been influenced to blame, persuaded to blame, hurt to blame, tricked to blame. Worse, altogether. Lied to. Each campus lied too long. Boxing is strong, but jeez. We play the game to seize together. Freeze all else. The species nature longs this course. Wake Santa's elves. The volume fills. It gifts and stays. In other ways, it leaves of IDs. Because it will only continue to gain the volume of positive nature and will only continue to gain the volume of negative value nature for the perfection of the identity nature inside and as the value of both positive and negative value nature to this complete identity and as how it is the complete value of each cell of our body, our own identity and demonstration of this, of which Bach sings. It tells us things. Behold. And with the martial arts, distinctly and non-distinctly, and with the yin yang, and with the alpha and omega, simultaneously, distinctly and non-distinctly, and simultaneously, and that's the point, because this is the simultaneous nature, the everything nature, that the original ancients agreed. So this is the course I want to know, but that's why you guys are delaying, and then we're going to take it over by the wrong, because in other words, we need to who's going to do the coding for us, make us a deal because it's already designed inside ancient gaming system. The cartoons, Little Rap Guy and Friends. They're also come with a room that's going to be the office of the people who each person has their own office with drawers. And this is the campus, but it also interacts with real life. And we'll have a home, and we'll have and like the boroughs. But this is simultaneously estates and areas. And this is distinctly and nations, distinctly and non-distinctly. This is a pantheism game too. So we also have to set up, the same thing, maybe as connected websites too, because we need a native one too. And this is everywhere value. Campus Marcias. This volume fills here. If it's not filling here, it's not value unto itself. It's only value. We are only positive. That is also positive to our self-diffusion value as it when we are simultaneously value to what is inherent, the inherent nature of volume we are. True always, not denying any exception nature. the active body of value discernment we are, and the progressive at the same time. When you do it in that sequence, when you're doing that simultaneously when you're valuing these three natures of volume bonded, it is in that sequence. This is where evolution comes from. But this is also using the identity, and we are more value than it. But what is more value than us is using the value before while being the bond of rock even, and which is value inseparable from our invisible but still discernible quality of fact, treatment nature value, conviction nature, not just judges. Conviction is what we say is truth or what is facts. See, they're setting up scenes. They're keeping each age of fact, treatment nature acting and being with that act maintained criminally foreign influenced verbal federal crime roles with each age of fact treating nature together as victims, but as victim predators, only let realized unfold and stay this way methodically. Only let realized, only let capable realized of understanding through their needs to hide their recorded crime methods with evidences, each branch individually, grouped in together. How they were also with all privatized to them, even the prisons, even the state judicial branch offices, houses next to it, on off those locations, the state prison offices, on off it. These are Washington rackets with criminal justice. With other nations, they have psychology, with all kinds of conspiracy theories that are also the phenomena of fact, treatment nature, logic's nature of volume, sabotage, and identity theft racket roles. Those that are all offensively with physical delusions and with criminal foreign influences that we must have delineated now. Because this is two states and areas recorded effectively worse than maintaining leaders without free speech. While they're recorded how maintained, motivated, needing to pretend other, needing to pretend there was integrity to what to the database relationships, outstanding business nature relationships, again, and value nature systems, tactical ulterior from the one that demonstrates negative value nature progressions, acts, and natures until its campus is healed. The value of, and this has the value of the republic simultaneously as our own, because our own is by fact, treatment, nature that values its course. Like our identity, it values all parts of our body simultaneously, distinctly, and non distinctly. And simultaneously, and further positive or negative. You know, the Trinity is about science, Allah is about science, pantheism is about science. And Allah is also, the Quran is also about how the other sound demonstrably. If you value the first part of the Quran with science, and you're being honest about the sciences always at the same time, then you're aware that they're having a conversation about how the nations were forced, grouped individually, grouped in together as criminal insidiousness natures, a positive, as liars pretending other, as different natures of wrongdoers that the Quran in the beginning is trying to discern the difference between criminally foreign influence. You know, but this is where everyone was criminally foreign influence victim predators through these sciences. not by accident, everyone missed how they're tactically parted from, self maintained, valued self obfuscating this in demonstration of itself always. That how the sciences share an identity simultaneously that is gaining as the nature of I am, as a slash the nature of I am. So Allah is used to teach this with an algebraic equation that is also about in sequence about the value of how the other names of God are with it. In other words, if everyone who agrees on the name, that's not the important thing. It's the important thing to understand the nature of logic, how we are in there, how it's about how we are in the nature of volume. How this nature of volume is a sequence nature, as forever nature in demonstration to us, as in other words, with and as fact shaping nature, quality obligations in relationship to an identity of positive or negative discernment, again, that is of a quality of fact shaping nature being prevented per offensive identity thefts. WFSB stole my identity. They did this with a whole bunch of people, interbranch, so I don't even keep naming names because that makes me look bad. People want privacy. I want privacy more than them, and then they would use time too fast and too slow. And of course, they would say, "Well, why would you be online then?" Because there are priorities, and because these are easy or such overt and such insidious juxtaposed in time and sequential, orchestrated theater collusion with acts and identity theft needs to tell the same finite, active, progressive sequence shifts, names forging, switching, altogether misprision, identity theft rackets, natures of it, roles. People pretend hate, or people pretend care. And even for the identities of locations, not understanding all victim predators. Each position of the human correlation nature in relationship to how our nature itself, as the nature of I was, is being exploited through effectively maintained all the who smelt it, dealt it nature, fact shooting nature, racket sequence shift natures, and all act with the acting. So when people want to report things, they're hurting them. See, when they have times up, not by accident, that's like when they have shock and awe. Because this is consciously keeping everyone awes, each modern nation. This knew since before modern nations that what was going to value these natures of campuses, industries, roles, even before campuses, these natures of ground to body of value, actual discernment, with the campus criminally re-engineered. The nature of how each group area, individuals valuing all that is to why and how we are a species together. See, that was told other because that was forced as a theater, as criminal insidiousness nature theater that bonded a whole bunch of nature's interests, needs, and roles. So the ancient games said when we teach about slavery, we don't teach about it that we don't pretend to believe it's about prejudice. We deal with it actually recorded, what our founders actually wanted us to explain and to understand about the organized crime method that was criminal foreign influences. And it was using the fact cheating nature racket where they had nations like England faking, motivated to hide how nations individually grouped in together had each other extorted. So, and extorted, for example, to pretend that they're behind the identity, which they were, but only through an as this. Each position, each individual of England, each group of England, dash sex, and each king and queen recorded originally and still without a quality of free speech, without a means to make it, to protract correlation natures simultaneously inherent, active, and progressive means in regards to all that is discernible with each nature of volume simultaneously in relationship to the most critical things that they use for excuses, not by accident, that can be overcome in 1 second. Those excuses are being valued for through natures of industries, natures of sciences, to other, to maintain all odds, to maintain all blaming the real causes for negative value nature progressions, acts, and natures, like all those involved with the Trade Center attack leading up to it, etc., etc. This was a long-term method, horizontally and vertically, consciously, sickly, distinctly, vertically and horizontally. In other words, sickly, unbelievably, criminally motivated, and all acting and needing to pretend and only understanding actual other motivations for their roles with predicate acts, with wrongdoing, wrongdoers. Not lawyer, not perform, not criminal. Organized crime terms, in other words. With real from a broad and needs as a human fact cheating nature to not blame it on other people and other things, not to value that. See, but this knew that this isn't that everyone would have to value that. These were masters of the law because they like the modern religions were, but they couldn't write it out like that because then, in other words, everyone, in other words, they're about the identity that is the revelations that reveals what this is about. In other words, distinctly and non-distinctly, A through Z are using Allah's name. And in this, if you don't understand that even if you believe that altogether, you still have to be, if other nations are saying, wait, you got something wrong, then we're supposed to figure it out. Because there's a reason for that. In other words, positive is, there's three natures. There's positive that is positive unto itself or not. And when it's positive unto itself, it's positive unto those three natures of volume simultaneously. And that's where the gaining value of the complete identity of Allah, of what is bigger than big and smaller than small, as the order to what is small, and as the order to what is big at the same time, as the order to what is right to left, and as the order to what is left to right, and what is overall up, distinctly and non-distinctly, and what is overall down, is a demonstration of how value nature has a value/value nature relationship to what is going to cause positive value nature progression here and the fruits of evolution and its gifts. for this, valuing these three natures of value, trying to be valued to the complete nature, which is the course, boxings of source, of course. So the English letters in the English alphabet revealed teach this about the identity juxtaposed that is five bonded semi-natures of invisible but still discernible, distinct, invisible but discernible values of itself, the complete identity. Which I'll do another video on the heartbeat of Allah. Because what I want to understand is how, you know, this is the best. This is better than social media, because social media is also victims of interbranch too. They came through these campuses with them even each executive branch, a whole bunch of police forms, a whole bunch of private associated with them, a whole bunch of foreign and domestic juxtaposed policing, and that's police forms interbranch. And that's fact treatment nature, conviction nature about the identity of the law and about the value of it originally and still, the value of the sequence nature treatments of it originally through time and still actively, inherently, actively, progressively. It's worse. Everyone's to we time is never up. They're proof that they put that there because of their nature, their uses, the recorded uses of triages and of psychology with medical crimes, all natures of drug crimes formal, within as the ones that are most roles with overt uses of and most insidious facilitations of the overt criminal enterprises and their natures of drugs juxtaposed and their means to pretend just because they're interbranch drug cliques and it's they do for vetting or whatever they do. And you know, that's not what all they're doing. And that's not even what they're doing. They're pretending things recorded into databases. As this is what forgiveness is for. Not for to allow people to say things that they're pretending criminally are allegations that they know are not allegations. They're lying in the background. They stole my speech. They stole me and other and kids and myself as a kid. They pretended I had relationships with the doctors that never were. They're attaching people to drug cliques, people in drug cliques that are from the school that had nothing to do with them. They're not a conversation with anything. They're pretending other. And with narratives with overt criminal enterprises recorded through time, mixed with a whole bunch of nation shared policing on and off job sites, on and off campuses, even fire department campuses, even interbranch campuses through time, intercities. And this was leading up to the Trade Center attack criminally involved. What facilitated the motivations of the people on off the adult campuses was first motivated to them for identity thefts, attaching people to fake locations from their town that they don't even know. If you walk by someone, in other words, and you say that, and then you say that you know them, and someone else put their name in your mouth, I mean in your mind, so you say have to say you know them. In other words, they're playing semantics rackets. In other words, time treatment rackets too slow, too fast, with the treatments of Paul Manafort, with the treatments of this Roger Stone, with the treatments of CCSU, with their treatments of. Now, I'm not making any paintings. It's not his fault. Mendez from the communications department with CCSU. There are two Mendez brothers who are police associated with Weathersfield Police Department with Fox Connecticut News. They're building too, and the buildings next to them, and the owners a building associated with the Club Blue. Now it was the name changed. It used to be the Russian Lady. Now it's Russian Lady Against the thing. They changed the location. These are also there are the Russian families that verbally and non-verbally repeated demonstrated and confessed roles with crimes with a whole bunch of people associated around the Samuel Dix house with interbranch, interstate criminal justice rackets roles. Also down that hill, associated with it, people associated with mobile gas station, other mobile gas station, Russian, Pakistani. I don't know what it has to do with. I know to an extent it has to do with confessed even online their roles with deducting behind how they have things shared with nuclear and with what they call peaceful relationships. Their roles with what they reported on with a Russian spy den on CNN. I don't. I'm pretty sure that I'm not. I'm theorizing that Fox News had the same thing. 202. I usually go to CNN. It's nothing personal on our TV. To every nation. Oh, it's melted. All right, thank you for coming on. So what I was wanting to say is God knows what they put in database, but it's not true, and they can't pretend that on paper. But that's significant because that was recorded and confessed, associated with people associated with all that private and interbranch recorded, involved further with child offenders and having and with crime methods pretending not to realize, and while stacking databases with lies against everyone. And while valuing that haven't been affected sequentially in sustained ways through time, exploiting missed natures of child abuse that are also keeping the same people associated with that most sickly as the ones that end up with the elderly homes, not by accident, with everyone valuing the real causes of negative value nature progressions, acts, and natures, and things blamed on other things themselves. Vaccines, awake to Santa's elves. So they recorded and confessed. They bring up disgusting things, and they do it in a way where they force. In other words, you have to observe the recorded how there are live progressions in the background, the chords, like a Christine Bedard slash Tardet recorded and confessed and demonstrated involved with WFSB with a whole bunch of natures of crimes and of them used to facilitate a whole bunch of strangers as people I don't know at all and barely know, motivated to pretend they're other, being coached to it because they couldn't pretend that on paper. And but if they with the way they sustain things while they're not letting people have speech and they're in the background pretending other and writing other and valuing having been other, valuing how mandated law is not allowed to follow. They'll just pretend things were recorded by police and writing. That's what they're doing. The same people doing this in the suburb of Weathersfield. These are the people involved with mostly with what it was sustaining and valuing the shootings in Hartford, Connecticut, and New Britain, blamed on other things others themselves, the real causes of them, the stabbings, the abuses of women of each age of fact nature. They're also confessed and recorded all natures of wire crime roles, identity theft crime acts roles. You see, there's everyone facilitated to it. Like online, they have Saudi women that they attach to their narratives where they invested the fake sides, about how they were going to figure out the sanctions and all of the money sides to the counter of the 9/11 attack. See, but they couldn't do it right because these sides had roles with it. Because we have a shared criminal justice system, Kuwaiti military, all nations, our species, nature, of volume. It's not that you can't blame the person. You have to say the only way you can blame the right person is if you say who disbelieves, and then we see and then we see who's because we can delineate the delusions from the criminal foreign influences of state scenarios, but we need our religious rights because they're offensively also maintaining the religious identities of the stewards of it as sensibility natures, as criminal seriousness natures, as tools, as lie progression, cover up natures, as misprision, fake signs of correlation nature with this. That is it. In other words, there are more child offenders in crime acts recorded. And they hid this because these are the same people that are on and off campuses, from off the ground of education and on off campuses and later, maintaining criminally used, per the news demonstrate too. And it's going to get worse because with the Fox Connecticut News, and in other words, Phil Colello is also recorded and confessed by Bob Chase with and by as one of the people involved with him. He's also recorded, demonstrated involved with perjury rackets, with at rules crime rackets, with his juxtaposed with his physical delusions that I can help you delineate. He's also involved with the investigations into the treatments of when things go bad and how they are sustained bad. Criminally foreign influenced forensics, uses of forensics reception and all that, like where no one's watching in the shadows, where no one's watching, where time is ever never up and they're preventing mandated law. They're pretending people are making allegations by lying in the background, by using various natures of courts already in collusion with Russians through misprision criminality with the identities of these psychology cliques, roles with campuses, even especially medical campuses, triages used for all natures of federal crimes, associated with a whole bunch of people associated with the Dillon family, associated with more child offenders, and natures of juxtaposed crimes and impositions with that time and other, with my new and past neighbors, with this Dillon family. And this is also foreign and domestic military, also involved with overt gangs, drugs, crimes, and with formal drugs crimes, and with their criminal foreign influences, and with their delusions that we can have delineated here by me till free. Not even a doctor. They're 6C. So anyone who has ever been to the Institute of Living, they also have people that will say they like it because there's a lot of the family members of fire departments that are criminally involved. Undercover people that were facilitated criminally involved, training of students, maintain criminally involved, criminally foreign influence, maintain delusions raw, victim predators, maintain these tools because then they need to be lie progressions. They need to value standing social interaction locations used to maintain criminal foreign influences over each age of fact human nature's value and value of relationship to the other to others, individually grouped and together. That's what they're keeping these groups as weapons. as identity theft racket rolls. They're keeping calm people's needs to defend themselves calmly from being prevented in relationship to where courts are stacking fake things against people. See, most people don't have this happen to them to these extents because most people are already hurt and maintained to it on a mass scale. The Constitution abridged to other natures of convictions. Here, all hail. Campus returns to show you how to think, prepare your minds. So there was that there were influences over the times up, and though that was just leaving out how, in other words, if the times up movement's not about, in other words, when people need mandated law followed, they're not following it, and then they're investing people to other natures of crime act roles that they're pretending to be against. They're doing that, and they're getting away with it by the way they're using the concept of women criminally. And see, they're doing this in a way that is forcing the men with integrity not let tell on the fake. In other words, interbranch women, judges forging and switching names, are roles with interbranch at the same time. Already before that, forging names, switching names, interbranch, distinctly and non-distinctly, and together, individually grouped and together. And that was with Russians. That there were crime racks roles with that, with Evan's perception of all those people associated with the around the Samuel Dix house as the ones associated with the houses around the schools, like a Yagman family brothers and a Pandolf brothers, associated with identity theft rackets with a Leahy family, with this Phil Colon, with two Mendez brothers. Now that they are distinct from the person who goes by the name Mendez. I don't know if he's still with CCSU. Mendez, and then that's also sort of associated a place with a Mexican restaurant no call on the border. Yeah, in other words, as what is briefing the media, recorded involved with crime. See, they need, for example, this is someone facilitated the crimes of the house in my area with the interbranch police. Titles in the background that were spreading lies using the sensibility of them, where and how legalized criminal in cities this nature was maintained, used as a tool. Worse than that. Before it was sophisticated, it never was sophistication. Sophistication never spoke for Hartford, Connecticut. Sophistication never spoke for why and how George Washington had to leave slavery in Connecticut right before the last battle of the Revolutionary War, even though able to come here and counter extort them, to force them to rolls, to what forced leverage, to the nature of extortion of all positions, the fact cheaping nature of England and all these other nations simultaneously, distinctly, non-distinctly, forced it, at least not where they had to let us in too. Not us. We're still valued before and beyond that. Never liberated. In other words, we're still a value that is in the box. Now we'll sing together, all break free. So we can't blame the wrong things, people themselves. We have to blame what is preventing the quality of fact, cheap in nature, from demonstrating that and how negative value nature, progressions, acts, and natures are really being caused and really having been valued. Blame the other things and others themselves. How that is maintained, the outcome is recorded too. But we need mandated law. We need to respond to the WFSB, many natures of fake news, crime acts, roles. and people associated with interbranch. Just because someone has a title, then they don't let you have free speech. They already the fake news. Both sides. This is important because this is what they're doing. Fake sides of fact cheating nature. Fake sides of correlation nature, which is a trinity. They have been doing this. In other words, they make people pretend that they're having natural. In other words, and and through other motivations. Like say these people, let's go. Well, you pretend to do this, and you do that, and you say that, and he'll walk in that because they're timing people, but not for the motivations they're pretending, like just kid things. It's not like that. They're involved. They're involved with on off campuses databases crimes that are used to maintain in case anyone's going to be able to demonstrate the quality of fact human nature that could because of what is actually recorded. See, they're not allowed to give away their shared policing and where and as and how it's set. And where and as and how they give it away, then they pretend they didn't. Because they're told to by natures of experts only that realized as opinion natures criminally foreign influence through other natures of election crime rules, leveraged against whoever becomes the president. You can't defend their nature, the convictions, and explain what it means to be the Constitution unabridged, the value of sequence, nature, true. So that has to offensively pretend it's about facts and truth, interbranch, private, and collusion. These are their sources, roles with them. As nature's used, but they don't understand it. And the people they're using, they don't understand, even though they understand that they're criminally foreign influence with the rules with these overt criminal enterprises. They don't understand how the same ones and people the same way through the ground. Each age of fact cheating nature is keeping criminal collusion, states and areas in criminal collusion, needing to describe criminal foreign influences with regards to all these subjects, and not by accident, needing to understand how it's not sourced by another nation, needing to understand how it was already blamed on others and other things themselves, like communism, like capitalism, vice versa. Fake sides, suits and ties. Psychology used criminal justice rackets, torture rackets, roles, physical delusions, roles, crime method, roles, mispraising and cultivation, roles motivated through their distinct and non-distinct, not understanding their own individual group and together the state's various branches, criminally foreign influence, all victim predators, tactically ulterior from the value nature system. That is evolutions. That is the subject of the Santa Claus. As good, as positive, as truth, as facts. Too clear. From nature's course, demands right here. See, time is up. I've asked many times. And recorded. See, that's what I'm trying to say to you. Recorded. They pretend things recorded into databases. There are two Mendez brothers, no, with the intercity, interpolice, but this is also with their interbranch crime acts roles after the Weathersfield police and the courts and on off the state judicial branches were already criminally involved with Fienzas, with other people like that, with people associated with the Dillon family, involve all natures of crimes with kids through time. They pretend it's legal because the extent they have it, where they have the drugs legalized for vetting or whatever they have. These are inter-military, foreign, and domestic inclusion too. Also has the prison cliques like with Sandy Hook, recorded and with fire departments, intercities, interstates, in collusion with what is maintained through the private drug rackets and uses of the overt ones that are using the only realize needed policing against that to further it because of how it's just defending positions of ground, positions on the reliance of other natures of experts, and these are being exploited by our only realized directors needing to hide too much. At one need to hide fact human nature styles as liars. Each modern nation in an identity of negative value, nature, progression, self-value. Forgiveness was for this, not to give up. Not just to understand that to be healthy, you have to let things go. Forgiveness was to let someone protract correlation nature simultaneously inherent, active, and progressive means as truth and as facts that aren't and having been criminally foreign used, criminally homeland used in that from what was value before it, while being their value, the branches, and from beyond and as gaining value beyond it, beyond the capabilities of each modern nation in the trap. Now they want to move in the concept of the environment, keep a whole bunch of narratives, pretend that their motivation why they're hurting individuals with fines and things like that, pretending that's the reason why more and more people have nothing, more and more people work for what is you can't you know you can't value that and also at the same time. And if you even though you pay them more to do things like that, that just makes those natures of convictions, equality of fact, human nature, justifications, natures of private that could never be legalized, stay legalized, and our history be told true, told as facts, actual, that are value, not as criminal since nature, not as the breaching screen tools, maintenance tools, not as in other words, to hide original state patriotism, victim predators through criminally foreign influenced sciences. That's the answer why there was Jim Crow laws. Jim Crow laws were about not just the or criminally foreign influenced sciences, tactically prevented quality of sequence, nature, value of each age of fact, human nature, ground of education, its value. Each age of fact, human nature, being told to be a kid. The ones associated with psychology be told to grow up fast. In other words, but in other words, they're just being given insights where they're acting, where they're making scenes that in other words, they're not even that we all know, but these are people that are using what is all known, but to pretend things categorically that people couldn't fathom were made up by interbranch actors, but they're doing that. So you have to deal with the actual finite, the actual sequence shifts, how they're forging names, switching names, and respond to that crime method. Because when you go there, they make confessions. They use the time to attach me and others to fake relationships to others, fake sequence shifts, hide their roles with recorded interbranch, forging names, switching names, pretending to make mistakes on police boards. All kinds of natures of intercities police in collusion with that. Because this is how we have federal criminals uncharged because they're the value of other nations too against their own. And in other words, they're all pretending to be fake positive, fake integrity as sciences. And that's being exploited, fact human nature racket, tied to what kept and keeps the overt criminal enterprises and such in positions on our nations. They pretend, oh, that's our job, divide and conquer. We're military. They're keeping the species value nature system criminally foreign influence, not letting and pretending to other. They're pretending because they gave blind sacrifice, which is not even blind sacrifice, to fight against other nations. That's identity. American history was never told. It's very simple. Only thing is not simple is how they're for example, that's what they use time off for. Because they if it was really what it's for, it's supposed to be a mandate force. You know, see they have this is also they use a crime method to use to keep and the insidiousness nature with fake care and with fake evil justice, aggression, as the ones pretending to be against that interbranch and collusion and misprision, having had facilitated having devaluing that, having been only valued in relationship to the line progressions, the worth of where each age or fact teenager is going to go hang out, what they're going to do, not by accident. This is tied to how they need the overt criminal enterprises to keep this quality of fact teenager outlet united, to keep unity as criminal insidiousness nature, as negative nature, value nature of unity, return. So inside the ancient gaming system, there's the basic beginning office. So once the draws to organize the people thinking we could have it work with the cloud or something, and then to train people because this is going to be about how we're going to understand this nature of organized crime, understand how modern religions and about how our founders, excuse me, per science, which the chemist Marcy will take positions, counter positions, will train to understand, to discern that and how we have an organized crime method, self value, roles with its conditioning of our fact treatment nature and exploitations of that, missed, and uses of that, missed, self value, here, means appear. Yes, yes. So in other words, I'm not naming not to bring up name. When they say that, they're making overall allegations about me. Get a response because that I don't even know the guy's name. The Gold guy, the former mayor Gold. All these people associated with this Kerr family and with Aiello, within the Britain Superior Court, with a whole bunch of people in the Britain Superior Court, men and women with the prosecutorial and with other courts leading up to a 2006 case with crime acts roles in natures facilitated to them by and as and how it facilitated defendant, former director of the FBI, and his co-defendants also to roles with the rest of the federal criminals and stuff like that associated with the identity thefts. Attaching and against me, natures of identity theft crimes, offensive evidence reception crimes, on-off schools of intercities tied to CCSU, Trinity College, UConn. Psychology is really ill. We have shared natures of nations sharing this policing sick.